So you most likely know what a to-do list is, and you are most likely using it if you are in the space of self-improvement. But have you ever thought of using a stop doing list? Because I haven't. I didn't even know that it existed or there was something like this in this world. And it is a concept from Robin Sharma. At least I got it from Robin Sharma. I'm not sure if there were other people who thought of using this kind of a concept, but I think it's just fabulous because it's like it works on a concept that at least I am somewhat like modifying it for my own life, because I believe that having a list of things that you want to stop doing can sometimes be detrimental or even worse than actually not having that list, because there are certain habits which we are aware of and we don't want to be doing them, and so why would we always remind us or remind ourselves of that habit all the time? For example, if you want to stop vaping, like the worst possible thing which you can do is to think about it all the time, that you don't want to be doing it, that you hate it, you don't want to be doing it anymore, and so on. So having it in front of your face all the time would only be worse than not having it in front of you at all. And so in that sense, it's actually worse. But having a stop doing list for habits which you are unaware of is amazing, because there are certain habits which we do throughout our days. I mean, we have, I don't know how many, 16 hours or so of productive day, of like the actual wake time. And so there are many hours, or sometimes if it's short, minutes that we use for activities that we are even unaware of. And so the things that we are unaware of are something that we actually want to be reminded of all the time, so that we won't forget that we are doing this sort of a habit or an activity and that we want to get rid of it. And so in that case, having a stop doing list and having that written on it is amazing, because it will always remind you that you don't want to be doing that habit anymore. And I haven't used this concept myself yet, but I'm pretty sure I will look into it soon, because it's just wonderful. Man, look at this view for a second. And so I can't say my own experience about this concept, but it's just so wonderful that I wanted to mention it right away. And as I mentioned, having habits written on it which you know about can only be actually worse, because you will remind yourself of something that you don't want to be reminded of, basically. Whereas having things that you are unaware of written on it can only be much better, because as I mentioned, awareness breeds clarity. And so if you know about the habit which you are doing, then you know that you can, or then you can actually remove it from your life. And so it could be, for example, worrying about things that are basically non-existent, worrying about things that will never happen, or buying so many things that you don't basically need and you waste your money. Those are the habits that sometimes we can be unaware of, and being reminded of them can be very beneficial, because as I mentioned, we can remove them from our lives. Like, if you don't know about a certain habit that you do, it could be, another example could be that you always accept invitations for parties or get-togethers because, I don't know, you feel super lonely, but at the same time being in those parties lowers your self-esteem. You feel much worse about yourself because you said you wouldn't drink or you wouldn't hang around people who are basically living the lives which you don't want to be living. And so in that case, if you are also, like, as I mentioned, I will mention it many times, if you are unaware of doing this habit, then for sure write it in that to-do list. But what you have to do is to actually sit down and think and just go through your daily habits, go through your like days, what you do throughout your days all the time, every time, so that you know what are the habits that you actually want to remove. So sit down, I don't know, for around 5 or 10 minutes. That might actually be too short. You might have to sit for longer and to just contemplate on the habits which you have and the habits which are detrimental and you want to remove. And the habits which you weren't aware of, then write those down. And if those are the habits which you want to remove, then have them on that stop doing list, and always remind yourself that you want to stop doing those habits. But those have to be the habits which you are unaware of. Because if you are aware of doing a certain habit and you want to stop, then of course, if you will remind yourself all the time about that habit, then you will only end up doing that habit. Because how can you do something else if you always think about one thing? So I think that's all for this video. It was such a wonderful concept that I really just wanted to mention it. And so if you found this video valuable, then you can watch this video next. And I don't know, if you have any questions, you can always comment something down below. And whilst you are about to click this video, you can enjoy this wonderful view as well.